the first step to downloading all the emotes, you're gonna have to enable the Discord inspect element, and to do this there's a setting that you need to turn on. They've changed it recently, so if you go to app data, then Discord settings.json, there's a value that you have to add here. Dangerous enable dev tools only enable if you know what you're doing. They've changed it because people were getting scammed and losing their account, but we don't care for that, so we can just turn it on. So we want to grab the names and the images of the emotes. So if we use the inspect element, we can see that in the HTML, each item has inside of it the image link and the alt text for it. But not all of them are loaded at once, so we'll have to use JavaScript to grab them as we scroll. So there's a event that we can use for this. So if we look, the one item that's not changing is this scroller. So if we store this as a variable, then we can use it to listen for changes. And every time the thing updates, it'll now fire our code. So all we have to do is now, whenever this fires, is grab all the emotes from the current HTML. So if we copy the CSS selector for this, then that should let us grab the stuff. So if we do document, that gives us a list, and we can do convert it to an array, and then we can map it. Not quite. So each of the images has an alt text, base URI, current source. I think that's what we want. So if we grab the alt and the current source for each element, then what do we get? And that looks pretty good. So then we just want that to fire every time we scroll. So let's create an empty list. And then every time this updates, so we'll grab that, and then we'll change the event listener we did to instead say grab all the items and add it to the list. So now as we scroll, that item's array should fill up with the emotes. You could probably keep scrolling even if they're not fully loaded yet, because it'll still be in the HTML. It'll just wait for it to fetch before it shows it to us, but it'll be grabbed by the code even if it doesn't load. As long as you don't scroll too fast, I think it should be fine. So if we look inside items, there's a bunch of them. And we'll just go to the bottom here, I guess. I don't know if it'll work for these ones, but because these are not actually emotes, they're slightly different because they're normal emojis. So now if we look in items, we have a bunch of them, and if we do dot, if we convert this to JSON, was it null 2, so that should format it? Not quite. Stringify, that's right. And we can just copy that to the clipboard. Let's go to VSCode. Format the JSON. Come on. Might be too big for VS Code to like to format that. So what we could do is, if we go back here, we can stringify it using these parameters, and that should pretty print it for us. Yeah. So now we have a bunch of items. And now we need to download them. So if we create a PowerShell script, we can load in these items. Convert them from JSON. And let's go to terminal. So now we have this emotes item. Which is a list of lists, and the first element, or the 0th element, is the name, and then the next one is the URL that we want to download it from. So we want to get rid of all the colons, and we could do that in the code, or we could just use VSCode macros. So if we select every open quote followed by a colon, we just delete the colon, go to the end of the line, left 2 characters, and delete the other colon. So now the colons aren't there, and if we run this again, then now there's no longer the colons in there, which is what we want. So now we have to download them. So let's get the download directory, which is going to be the current location, and a folder called out. We'll make the directory. So we'll create it even. We want it to not error if the directory already exists, so we'll do force. And then now we need to get each one. So the name is the first item, and the URL is the second one. So let's just echo it just to make sure it works. And it does seem to be working. So let's get rid of all the entries with no URL. So if we just select all the double quotes, if we match all of those, then we can get rid of the entry. It's a pretty large JSON file, so it seems VS Code is not liking that. I think I missed a few, not sure why, but we'll just do it again. So we'll select all empty quotes and just delete those entries. Oh yeah, it looks like it's not doing the whole file because there's still some things with open quotes here as well. That's annoying. What we could do is in here, so items, we can fix the quotes and get rid of the empty ones. So we can do filter, so that gives us fewer items, 32,000 instead of 61,000. And we want to map this so that we get rid of the colons in the name. So that would be x0, starting from the first character and then to the last one. So that would be x0.length -2, I think. And then x1 should keep the URL. So if we look inside of this, Hina, no colons, and then the URLs as well. So now if we copy this, first we have to actually assign that expression back to the item's value. And then we can copy this again. So now, when we run our script, it should only have good values, which it seems to. So now we need to just download them. So we want to, some of them are WebP, some of them are GIF, and we want to get that out of the URL so that we download it in the right format. So we could say the extension, or just have this. So we'll get a URI builder based on the URL, and then we can get the path from that. So the extension is the path from the URI builder. And then now we want to actually download it, so we can invoke web request on the URL and join the path from the outer to the name and the extension of the file. So when we run this, it should start downloading all the emotes. Of course, this will take a while, but you can just let it run. We could maybe make it parallel, but it's less effort to just let it run and come back to it in an hour. And that's how you download all your Discord emotes.